This is Cyndy G, and in this video, we are working on a tri-fold pop-up card. Okay, and I think the first thing that I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fold some of these score lines here on my card. And I want to fold everything into the center. Okay. This card is an A2. I mention that because I don't typically do that size, so all right, and I'm just going to dive right in. You did notice here when I was holding this up, there are slots cut in here, so you'll want to make sure that this lines up really well with the cutouts, okay? Let's go ahead and get this put into place. Okay. Now let's work on our barn pieces. So this piece here just lines up edge to edge and line it up to the bottom of just that brown piece. Okay, goes just right in like that. Again, just line it up right to the bottom, over to the edge. The glue makes it slippery. I don't want it to slide out of place. Now, the barn top, you see these two points right here, and these 2 points kind of line up. So you just want to line that right up to there. That gets it nice and centered. And that's where you want that piece to go, just like that. Oh no. Okay. So you just want to kind of eyeball that. There we go. Okay. Pretty straightforward. Then you're just going to center these right in the openings there. Okay, so we're just going to center this. And then the same thing with this one. you're just going to line this up to the bottom, and then you just want to kind of have an even amount of space on either side. And you can see that your little slots clear the trim. Okay, so there is our barn. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue this smaller piece, the one that fits, right onto my tree base. Now I cut mine in contrasting colors. If you wanted this to be more of a summer, which would be hard with the pumpkins, but you could still. You could do your tree in greens, but it is meant to be fall. And then I'm going to glue this one in place before I put my tree on. Okay, so take my time, line that up right on there. Okay. And then the tree just goes right in there. Kind of looks like a sunburst. There we are. Okay. Now I have already put this pumpkin together. It was one base piece with the stems and then the two pumpkin pieces, and you can kind of see where it goes right there. But we've got several pumpkins to put together, so you'll see how they go. Okay, and that goes on that side. Now these are for reinforcing the fence. And it's funny because I inked it, but it goes on the back side. And that will, you do need them because there's all these cutouts in the fence. it's kind of floppy, and this will really help stabilize it. My cats are driving me crazy. They're chasing each other up and down the stairs. And just being wild in general. Okay. So these pieces here, these go on very last because they're going to cover all these tabs that we have from the reinforcing and then from the pop-up pieces that we're going to put on next. There we go. Okay. There. Oh, yes. That is already, I can tell that makes a big difference. Okay. So now let's take a look at these pieces. These are a little bit different. So the base has some cutouts and it has some tabs. So you want to fold the tabs up so that you don't accidentally glue those down. And then you will notice here on the pumpkins that there's cutouts, and you just want to make sure that you're gluing these pieces together and not covering those up, or not covering up when you glue the pieces together. So this one has this little notch to go around this one. And then you've got one in here. So you're going to line this up. So this really helps you figure out which piece goes where, because the notches all have to line up. Okay. Now, we want to put this base piece on first, or the big pumpkin. He doesn't, I wouldn't call him a base. And see, he lines up with both of those notches, okay? And again, make sure you've got these folded up so that you don't glue them down. Okay, just like so. For this one, I'm going to go ahead and put the glue on my pumpkin because I do have my tabs pulled up. I don't have to worry about gluing them down. And we're just going to really make sure now that it's lined up just right. And see, I've got these pulled up so that I'm not gluing those down. Now this one, you just want to make sure to get that like that. Okay. Now this piece slides into here, and these tabs feed through. And it might be easier. This is the first time trying this, so it might be easier to put the tabs through here first. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and glue these down. And see there, this is what pulls these. Okay, whoops. It just slid right off of there, but that's okay. So now we want to put some glue here on this piece. And I liked the way that it was working, being glued up. So I'm going to glue this right here like this. Okay. Then when you pull this down, you see that that pulls. I haven't refolded these yet. I want to make sure my fence is doubled, so I want to make sure it's dried really well before I fold it again. Okay, so that's that. Let's go ahead and fold these pieces. There we go. There we go. Okay. That's kind of thick there. So that's how it's going to stand up. Now it can't be pulled down flat anymore because I have it attached there. And if you were to pull it down flat, you would break your tabs. So now this piece has these tabs, and you're going to, excuse me, fold them back out of the way. And I'm going to put a thin line because I can see that it is going to take a thin line right there. And I'm just going to glue this down. Make sure that I take that glue out of there. This is going to fold here on this line. I'm going to fold it both ways because I don't know which way is going to work best for this one, so I want it to be able to go either way. Okay, so neither one of these has a slit because there's nothing in front of them to go down and hook onto them. So these are just going to glue right over. And I do want to make sure that I get glue right here just to reinforce that part, okay? So then we're going to glue this on. You just want to make sure you let this dry before you put that down on it. And then we're going to put this pumpkin together and glue him into place. Okay. Now for your sign, there is some numbers to glue on. They're small, so you can leave them off if you want, and you can just handwrite on there. I'm going to try to use them since I cut them. They cut fairly well. So I'm just kind of touching the glue there on those pieces. I almost feel like you could say $25 with the way inflation has been going crazy lately, but it says 25 cents. I don't even think they sell pumpkins for 25 cents a pound anymore. Okay. And then you would put this right on here. Okay. So I'm just going to put some glue in the center. Okay. This one is going to be a little bit trickier to get in here. I'm going to get that out of the way. So I'm going to slide this in. And I think I am going to have to put glue on these tabs to start with and hope I can get them in there. Okay, got that side on. I feel like I didn't line up these holes very good, and so I can't get this piece in there. I got the other side in there. Oh, it is going in. Okay. There we go. It's just a little bit tight, excuse my head. I was trying to find my little tweezer tool, which I don't see. Okay. Okay. Yes. So the trick here is going to be just making sure, there we go, my pointy tool worked to get that in there more. It's just making sure I'm just going to hold this for a second. I've got the tab gluing down. Okay, and I'm going to do the other side. There. Okay, I'm going to let that sit here for a moment and dry. I'm going to let everything dry really well before I start messing with it. So that is what it looks like when it's finished. Then you'll put these pieces here, cover up those tabs, and you'll flip it over, and you have a piece here to put over that. I would suggest after doing this maybe using tape on these pieces, because you saw I was trying to get glue in there. You could also just glue the tabs right to the front here of the pumpkin if you don't want to try to fit them through the slots. And you could probably put these two pieces together first before you put them in the card. Maybe if you attach this here, because the back was easy to get through. It's just that this is a little bit tighter and you're working against this. So I would suggest put these pieces together, go ahead and attach these pieces and glue it, and then slide them into these bottom slots together and then through the back. And I think you'd have a much easier time with that. But it's really cute and it stands up really nice. But that is it. That is the barn trifold card. Thank you for joining me.